What's the name of the show? Are we going with Dil's Roundtable?
What's this?
Hello and welcome to another Dil's Roundtable. I'm Dilruk Jayasinha, a comedian by trade, but comedy is also my obsession and passion. And today's topic is relationships in comedy, and I've got three of my funny friends with me to discuss the topic of relationships. We have Danny Mcginlay, Sami Shah, and Liam Ryan. Now, at the top, I need to announce this, which I haven't done in other shows. More than any other topic, because it's relationships, I did try my best to get a bit of gender balance.
Okay. You succeeded well there.
I've done everything I could, but there was scheduling issues, so I got a brown one.
That's
so
right.
I feel like
Gender or race are very interchangeable.
we've done
So
some
as long
kind
as
of
there's one
attempt.
non-normie.
Yeah. Normies.
Satisfied.
Yes. But I also do like the.
I mean, look at that.
If I had been
So-
a brown girl, we'd have to shut the show down.
Oh, it would be perfect.
Yeah, we get funding somehow. That's how good it would be.
But I do want to acknowledge that because it is weird. At the end of the day, we're going to be talking about relationships in comedy, and it's just four blokes.
And we're all heterosexual?
Oh yes, we are.
I mean, so far,
We're
I don't know. The night is young, my friend.
Provocative.
But I do like the mix as well because we have Liam. You were married before you started comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
Pretty much. Danny, you met your partner after comedy.
That's correct.
And Sami, you
I was married before I started comedy, and then stopped being married while I was in comedy.
while you were in comedy,
yes,
and
so-
she was a comedian as
She's
well.
also a comedian, that's right.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
in Pakistan.
So let's
I love
start
it. We've got all the colours of the heteronormative
That's right, of the
rainbow.
hetero.
Yeah. Excellent.
We
Yeah,
are
I mean-
cisgendering the shit out of
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
I should say I'm very single.
Yeah.
Hashtag
This is why I'm doing this show, to be honest.
This is when the lower third has your phone number written across it just on the screen.
to the details and the quickest way to find me on Tinder.
Yeah.
When Dill first pitched this to Channel 31, it was, all right, it's a dating show. It's like blind date or perfect match. And then they said no, and then now
We're
this
the
is it.
ugly ones to
Yeah.
make him look good. That's right. This is like a Bollywood music video. Where like you're the good-looking guy, we're the backup dancer.
All right.
Right.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that, Sami.
Yeah.
So tell, that is an interesting backstory.
Yeah, it's
So you're originally from Pakistan. for
originally
people
from
who don't
Pakistan. I was in Pakistan, and a friend of mine told me there was an improv comedy troupe that was starting up. Pakistan never had improv comedy before. Some guy went
It's
to
legendary for its.
Yeah, I know.
improv
Now it is, obviously.
obviously now, yeah.
But there's a guy who went to America, came back and set it up. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out. And there's a girl on stage who's really cute. And I was like,
Right.
I want to hang out with her more.
Yes, and she does.
Yeah, that's a
basically-
very
Yeah.
G-rated thing of
Yeah.
what you thought
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
time.
Yeah. I want to hang out with it.
Whoa.
To be fair, it is Pakistan.
It's a Muslim
So
country.
that is very
It's Muslim.
It's
How it
Sharia
works.
compliant.
hang out is very, very naughty.
Yeah.
Cool, I'm going to let her
I
drive.
could get it.
Is that wrong? That's wrong, isn't it?
It's definitely it's on the wrong shoulder.
Well, it's out there now.
Sorry, Waleed, can you represent me at the
of course. Of course. Yeah.
That's not Wally, that's Sami. No.
I choose Nazim, sorry.
Shit. It's all gone wrong. Tell
Yeah,
me.
and so I joined just to kind of spend more time with her.
Yeah, right.
And that's how I kind of got into comedy. And she never transitioned into stand-up. So like she
Right.
did improv comedy for a few years and then stopped. And then I continued doing comedy, but in stand-up.
stand-up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you married in Pakistan?
Yeah, so we got married, I think, a year and a half after we met.
Right.
Oh, wow, fast.
Shotgun wedding by
Yes.
Western standards.
Yeah.
but
And, so then you moved to Australia for comedy? No.
No, moved to Australia because it was Pakistan. So we just
Right.
like time to get out and things. I was getting death threats and stuff.
Yeah.
So it
Because
wasn't-
you
How bad were your jokes?
yeah, to be fair, those have continued. yeah.
It wasn't so
I
much.
wasn't-
Wasn't so much the pull factor of the comedy scene.
Yeah,
more
yeah.
the push factor
Yeah.
of.
Of
No,
Pakistan.
Of Pakistan. Probably.
I didn't know anything about the Australian comedy scene. I had no idea whether there was really one at all.
You
when I came
racist.
here.
You just thought we all stood around
Yeah.
going, that's not a knife, this is a knife.
I'm still waiting. I was like at the airport for years. And then yeah, we moved here, and then I kept doing comedy over here and all that. But yeah, she's never kind of gotten back into it at all. Yeah.
And then you started doing stand-up while you were here.
Yeah,
Now-
basically.
Now, Liam, on the other hand, you were
Yes.
already with your partner, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
started comedy.
Yeah, so I did a bit of impro back in Perth.
Yeah.
So I started doing impro, and that's where I knew like Xavier Michaelides and stuff like that.
He's
And-
been on this series.
Oh, has he really?
Yes.
Yes. Well, fantastic. And and then got married in
improv.
Perth, and then moved over to Melbourne and started stand-up over here.
Right,
So I started stand-up pretty late, like when I was 30.
30, righto. And Danny, flip side, you started stand up very young.
Very young, like in high school, I was cocky enough to
No
think
way.
that. Yeah.
How
I
old
was-
were you?
I was like, I was like 15 when I started doing
Whoa.
stand-up shows in the canteen.
Really?
Yeah.
And
I bet there was pretty good gear.
oh man, it was brilliant.
What's the deal with pimples? Am I right?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then I would sneak into open mic at pubs and stuff.
Really?
when
Did
I
your
was
dad
young.
not have to take
Yeah,
that?
the system Dad and I had was I was on my L's, so I could drive. We'd drive to like the Star and Garter in South Melbourne, and I could be in the pub with a legal guardian. So Dad we'd drive to the pub. Dad would sit in the other part of the bar and drink, and I would go do the gig, and then I'd come out. Dad would be pissed, but I could drive us home.
That's fucking.
How could you?
Oh no, it was still illegal. Dad was supposed to be up.
Right, sorry, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait,
I was
what's
on
this
the
loophole?
learners, but
As
yeah.
long as you've done a stand-up spot, you can drive.
Yeah.
It's kind of envious, like you starting that early, because now, like 25 years later, look at you. You know.
There we go, start punching. Oh, this is
All right.
relationship thing.
Name of the show.
But that's what's, I like that idea of, say, you coming in at such a young age. So you're a single guy, and you're starting to do comedy, you're now starting to meet people after shows, meet girls after shows and stuff like that.
It never eventuated the way I hoped it would.
I agree.
that was
when
gonna be
someone
my
asks me
question.
what's it like in terms of meeting girls and stuff after the show, I'm like, it's fine, but it's nowhere near as good as I hoped.
Yeah.
when I
right.
when I wanted to do
It's
comedy.
not like musicians
Right,
at all.
yes.
At all. Yeah, like,
People
we
wanna
have
have-
groupies, but like a lot of times
you and I both have the same group.
Oh really? Was she just racist?
Pauline
me,
Hanson.
that's awkward.
Pauline Hanson wants to root the shit out of us.
It's weird that like stepping on stage and going like, I shat myself doesn't mean women throw themselves at
Right.
Isn't that strange?
Right,
Yeah.
I did.
You've said
meet a
that,
girl
you've-
after, yeah,
yeah.
I have a whole bit about exactly. This is it, I shot myself.
Yeah. Like
It's a
your first
classic
festival,
bit.
so, like, Dill shits himself
TED
multiple
talk,
times
yeah.
on stage.
If you would like to see a link to that.
There is a little bit of
Shitting in
that.
public
There's a-
doesn't have to be as bad as you think. Spotlight.
the funny side of poop.
Yeah.
You know? I did find it weird when this particular girl that I was dating for a while, and that's where she first met me, and I was like, so you saw all of that and thought, that's the guy for me. I almost started judging her because she found me attractive after that show.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like going.
Not really. You're a fool to yourself there. It's very insecure to go. Hang on. You've seen me do stand up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're terrible. Go away.
I know it's funny, but remember the content was,
Yeah.
But you, then your current wife.
Yes.
I mean your only
my
wife.
one
Current wife.
Your only wife.
Yeah.
Fourth time lucky. Got McGinlay.
She had seen me perform at the Comics Lounge about 4 months before we met.
Yes.
Was that the attraction? Did that help?
She
Initially-
said, I asked, what did you think of that? And she said,
That's
I
not
remember
enough?
thinking you were cute.
Oh,
And of course,
in
right.
hindsight, not that you went up to this random girl and said, "What do you think?"
No.
of that?"
Like when we met,
Yeah.
we started.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
As a comedian, there's not much more of a needy thing to say than what did you think of that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, and the worst part
So-
is she goes, "Oh, I remember thinking you were cute,"
Yeah.
and I remember thinking,
What about the
"What about
jokes?
funny?"
Yeah.
Distinct lack of the F
Yeah,
word
yeah.
there.
Which bit was cute?
Can we talk about this, Sammy? Someone you you met
Recently,
Recently.
yeah. So no, I was at a gig and she was there just as an audience member, and I believe she was on a bad Tinder date.
Yeah, this is what I
And
found fascinating. So she was on a
Exactly,
Tinder date,
yeah.
and it wasn't going well.
It wasn't going well, and she's sitting on stage, and I don't know whether
She's not
I
sitting on
get
stage.
excited.
She didn't try
I
to
know,
make
sorry,
clear.
yeah, she's sitting there in the audience, and I don't know whether that's a compliment to me or just
bad the
how
Tinder
bad
date.
the date was that she thought this could be better. but yes, so she reached out to me after the date after she went home.
Yeah.
She messaged me on Facebook through a friend of ours, a mutual friend, and said, "Hey, I thought you were funny," and
Yeah.
and I was like, "Yeah, let's get some coffee," and we've been dating ever since.
Right, so
that is
she's not part of the industry. She's
not
not a
part of
performer.
the no.
Good
it's-
work.
Yeah, civilian.
That is
Complete
a smart-
civilian.
Puggle is the term.
Yes,
I use.
exactly.
right.
Because it's not easy dating. Because my ex-wife was a comedian, and there is
Yeah.
that causes trouble.
Yeah.
when
Right.
you're dating another comedian.
They're funnier
Because
than
they're
you.
married to
They,
another
you know,
comedian.
or who does better on the
Yeah,
night.
The
That's
best thing is
better,
if you're,
there's that.
if you're dating or going out with someone or married to someone who's not a performer, then they have access to people who are potential paying customers for your show. So
Right,
you can
right.
punch out of the
I'm
pool.
not going to lie, ticket
Yeah.
sales have gone up.
That's great. That's great.
A lot of
Good for
friends
you,
and
buddy. You
family
deserve it.
suddenly
You deserve
coming.
it.
Is your partner in the industry?
not
or-
at all.
No, perfect, normal person.
Yeah. a normal age.
How is it for you, like having to gig every night, knowing that you have to, or
Yeah.
sometimes going on tour for touring shows? You were just in Perth.
Yeah, that's right.
So does your wife come with you?
She came over this time for a couple of days because
Yeah.
she's from Perth. so
But
it's
you've
a
had
big fan.
festivals where you've had.
Yeah,
to,
yeah. And I think it's been great because I think as I started late, it was something I had wanted to do for a while. And then when I started, I really got a, sort of taste for it and wanted to do more of it. And she was super duper understanding just in terms of being understand that I'd be out late heaps of nights. And particularly at that stage doing, open mic and stuff like that. Where it
Yeah.
wasn't, justifiable as a job or,
'Cause this is
it just seemed it was something I wanted to do. And I think, is the understanding if I wasn't doing that, I wasn't going to be particularly that
Well,
happy.
this is what fascinates me because Danny, you were already fairly established when you met your partner, your
That's
wife.
right, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but you had to come from the ground up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you justify to your partner, I got to go do 5 minutes in front of 4 people
Oh,
at a dingy
yeah, I know.
backpacker
Look,
bar,
there-
and I need to do this?
Just because she super duper amazing and just kind of, I think, there's a bit of
Communicating
yeah,
why it's
absolutely,
important.
yeah,
Yeah.
and no, I guess sensing that it was something that was going to make me happy and I was enjoying and things like that, and
I've
putting a lot
always-
of effort into. I think in some level, I think she, I guess, respected that, putting a lot of effort into it.
I've always
as
thought
well.
about that idea going because it's as annoying as it would be to have someone go away or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Knowing how important it is means you're most likely going to get a better version of your partner if they are addressing that passion and their dream of theirs.
Yeah,
Rather than
absolutely.
someone who you make them sacrifice
Yeah,
that
yeah.
thing going, you're getting an emptier version of them.
Yeah, because I was certainly bobbling from career to career to career to career. I didn't really have a particularly.
What other careers did you try?
I did worked in a video store, which was productive
Yeah,
until
yeah. I did that as well.
that industry closed down.
Yeah.
Best job I ever had.
Isn't that great? Because we can't go back to it.
Right.
If
What do you
comedy
mean?
fails,
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would
yeah.
we can't go back to video
yeah,
industry
yeah.
in North Carlton is
sa-
closed.
Your safety net is gone.
Yeah.
You used your video store to meet a girl once.
I dated a girl who also worked at the video store, and we may have been intimate within the grounds of the
Confines
store.
of the store.
Yeah,
Alright.
wow. We used to have a thing in the video store. We had a bit of an adult section.
Was
and,
yours a Video Easy, a Blockbuster?
No, it was an independent one.
Oh,
so it was
great.
it was had an awesome range of art house films and stuff like that. It was fantastic.
That's the most important part of the
Oh,
story.
it was great. Yeah, that's
the
it.
art house collection.
It was great. Let me talk you through some of the titles. Yeah. Emily. No, so we also had a big adult section, and we had this thing called a porn sandwich, where you get these guys who'd come in and they pretend to browse the art house section. They'd take 2 art house titles,
Right.
and then they get 5
bang
adult
butts in the
videos,
middle, right,
and put
yeah.
put an art house on there and an art house there. So that'd make the bread of your porn sandwich, and then they'd come up to the counter like that, like the meat was camouflaged, and then you just sort of scan it through as customers had this title already. Customers had this title already. Customers had this
so they
title
know
already.
what they're
Yeah,
into.
they'd already eaten that sandwich.
Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
5 weeklies for $10.
Oh, mate, it
and
was-
now
yeah,
it's $4 to get it by itself. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll pay $6 to him not ask any questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you bounce around between careers and then you finally find comedy.
Yeah, and I mean, it certainly wasn't a career as well for ages, or still trying to make as much, trying to make it more of a career now.
Everyone's got their own kind of.
Yeah. So, but I think, the only reason I could sort of progress through, that real trying to gig every night at open mics in front of 4 people was because she was so great at not making that pressure and making me feel bad about that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how is it for you, Sammy? You have a 7-year-old, and now once you've split as well.
Yeah, so we share custody, so equal time basically.
Share
That's how
Melbourne?
kind of
Because
work.
we were doing a gig a couple of nights ago, and after your spot, you had to rush home because
Babysitter, man. I'm paying for babysitters, so a lot of gigs is that thing where you don't want to be the rude comedian who doesn't watch the headliner. But for most of my career, I'm kind of forced into that because I've always had to rush home because of babysitting issues, things like that. So that's just that's why I love festivals, because festivals are when I finally get to see the guys I perform with regularly actually perform.
Right.
Otherwise, I get there just before I'm about to go on stage and I leave right after.
Would
along
you
with
ever let her see you perform?
She's seen me perform twice because I had to take her. I was committed to gigs and I couldn't get a babysitter and everything, and there's too much money to not do them.
Daddy
And
Watson is
she-
Islamo-fascist. How best to say?
No, I'll tell you why. There's once a problem. I had one throwaway line about her in the joke.
Oh.
Nothing to do with anything. And it was just a line
Do you name
where
check her or just say daughter?
just said daughter. And it was
Could have been
just,
one of his others.
yeah. You know, in her defense, she doesn't know. But and the line was something stupid like, and I know how hard it is to get someone to stop saying something because I have a 7-year-old who keeps saying shithead.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And she's in the back and loudly she goes, I don't say that. And I was like, oh, damn it, she's here.
She called you out in the bullshit of the
Yeah,
show.
and for months afterwards, she's like, you know what? Your jokes are funny, but you don't have to lie. It's like, yeah. And she was going to Catholic school at the time in WA, so she's like, Jesus doesn't like it.
Wow, she sent a Muslim girl to
man.
a Catholic school.
I don't have a choice. I couldn't send her to a Muslim school.
Well, I understand. I had a Buddhist dad, a Muslim mom who sent me to a Catholic school. So
And you
I
turned
had
out great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
well
yeah,
balanced.
yeah.
Single at 32, having 3 mates to tell him how to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Well, there's
I
a
know.
funny show.
This is like the cameras aren't on. This is just some despo.
This is an intervention.
Yeah.
Self-imposed.
I know, by the way.
I know my limits, so I'm trying to find
So you started dating after you going?
Yeah, I'd already
Yeah.
been doing comedy for a couple of years.
Because I'm finding that now as a problem. We gig during dating hours.
Yes. We
It's a
rarely
real
saw each
problem.
other for the
Yeah.
first, and we were both 20 years old. So the thing that actually really helped our relationship,
in 20s or 20 years old.
we were literally 20 years
Oh
old.
wow, that's
Yeah.
how long you've been.
Yeah, we've been together forever.
You've known her for 25 years.
48,000 years we've known each other, and you're 20. Your libidos are just mental. I don't think we
I'm
even had a
38. My libido's mental. I'm hard right now.
Oh.
Sorry.
So how did you keep in touch? Was it you'd make time? You say, okay, at
Yeah,
least
make
on a
time.
Sunday or something, we're gonna have this together.
It was usually like a Monday afternoon because I'd have to work all weekend, and then I'd pick
Yeah.
her up from uni after her lectures, and then I'd start work at about 7 o'clock at night.
Well,
and
in
then
that
we'd get
instance, it helps when you're both busy, I guess. You both have your own stuff going on.
Yeah.
It makes sense why it's
Yeah.
harder to, But I think if you have one person who isn't,
Yeah,
I
it's-
think you might run into a problem if one person's passionate and is doing this stuff that doesn't make sense. But is that hunger?
You've been on Tinder dates, right?
Yeah.
So, like, do you have that? Look, do you have that
Yes.
where it's like, let's meet next Tuesday. You're like, I got a gig next Tuesday. All right, next Thursday. Shit, I'm booked over there next
But
Thursday.
I'm using it to my advantage where I'll have Tinder dates just before gigs, so I have an excuse to leave if it's not going well.
Yeah.
But if it is going well, then you go, hey, let's definitely catch up again, or whatever.
Oh,
So
nice. Then you
there's
look cool. I read in Richard Stubbs' book that came out 20 years ago that
No.
on his first date with his wife, he'd forgotten he had a gig. So he said, hey, can we go to this restaurant I like, which was near the Last Laugh.
Right.
And I think he sat down and then said, I've just got to go and I'll be back in 30 minutes. And then went to the
30
gig, came back.
minutes?
Yeah, because a 20-minute spot.
I know, but
Yeah,
to
right.
keep her waiting for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a
I
crazy
think he
amount.
told her what was happening.
Okay.
but,
Okay.
Yeah.
You do a lot of travel interstate.
I do. I'm
Now
less
you're
and
a new
less
dad
now.
as well.
Yeah, I'm a dad now. So
So
that
how do you balance that out?
I travel less and less now that we've got. Yeah, I'm at ground
2
zero
kids.
with parenting. I've got
Oh,
the almost 3-year-old and a 4-month-old, and so
Right.
yeah, the gigs have to be. I can be away for maybe 2 nights at the
What's the
most.
longest you've spent away since you've had the child?
I did 2 weeks at the start of last year when I did a week at Brisbane Comedy Festival and a week at Adelaide Fringe.
How does that feel as a new dad, being away from the child?
So good.
Yeah.
No, you feel bad and everything, but it was the money I made paid for the next few months.
Is that... I'm sorry to make it so crass, but do you
Sure.
reckon that's what softens some of the blows with that, with the knowing the money that's coming in?
It's your work. It's your job.
Yeah,
It's not,
but especially in terms of the part with your wife, letting
Yeah.
her know, getting her on board. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I've never had a serious relationship since I started in comedy. But to a lot of people, this seems like a rort. Like, it seems like you're out with your mates, drinking,
Yeah.
having fun, you're hanging out with some of the funniest people in the world. How is this work?
Yeah.
And to convince your partner to say, I got to go away for a week and do something really fun. Like, we had Carl Chandler on in the previous episode talking about going to Thailand to do the podcast. Like, how do you convince someone, your partner, that this is still work?
You just marry someone really understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's because I got friends who had careers in the arts who have been forced by partners to get a public service job or something, and it's a damn shame.
There's a bit of like bitterness and resentment can set in because sometimes it'll
Absolutely.
happen like she's at home with the kid and then you're like out with your mates at a gig, you're working, but when she calls, you're like, shh, Stop laughing, stop laughing.
The crowd, you're telling the crowd stop laughing.
Why did I take the call?
And the thing is, it's not her being unreasonable.
No.
She's got a shit gig now. She's
Yes.
stuck at home with the kid while you're out like with your mates and everything and having here, might as well have a couple of beers and that kind of thing. So
I know.
yeah, it
As
is.
long as I get up early with the kids, I'm not in trouble.
How much support do you get from your partners? Maybe not so much Sami, since you just started dating your partner, but in terms of showing up to shows, what do you feel like is the appropriate amount that you want them there versus are they sick of seeing
Absolutely.
your material?
Oh,
Yeah.
never.
sure.
She would never come.
What about
She'd-
festival shows?
Maybe once, if it was a really good show that I was proud of, I'd say.
So
come
those
along.
you might tell her, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Right,
She's
that's-
seen me, and I'm going to work. I
Yeah.
don't go to her work.
But your works, what does she do for work? She's
She
in
does
government.
Yeah,
exactly.
I forced her to get a public
Yeah.
service job.
Like, so I've only done like three festival shows. She's really good at coming
Right.
quite a lot of times to the show and bringing.
How
fun
do you
stuff.
feel when she's in the audience?
Yeah, fine,
Food,
good.
fine,
Food,
good.
I feel food.
But the third time she's in the show, do you worry about showing improvement? Are those considerations? Having that one extra person there the second time, does that change the way you approach it?
Yeah, like you want to make it look like you're good. And
Yeah.
you're good
And-
at it and getting better at it.
And almost
Yeah.
justify all those other crappy things
Yeah,
you did
yeah,
along the
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Go and say, this was where it all led up
Yeah,
to.
yeah. All this
Yeah.
filling a 40-seater. Feels good to be a gangster.
You filled it. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, mate. I can
Sammy.
sometimes 2 nights of a run, I reckon.
Sammy, do you think you have an idea as to what would be a good partner for a comedian with this lifestyle?
Not another performer, for sure.
For sure?
Yeah, I firmly believe it should be a civilian.
Any other performer or
Just,
a muggle?
Yeah, a muggle, yeah.
Don't, civilian's so patronising.
I know,
Muggle.
yeah.
Muggle is proper.
Muggle.
And
Any
non-funny.
performer or just comedians? Or can it be
I
like...
think, I don't know, I haven't been with a singer or an actor or someone like
Yeah,
that. I also feel part of being a comedian is, and just from the comedians I know, we're kind of dicks about the other arts. We do kind of be like, oh, whatever, like to
Sure.
most of the other things. So that will always seep through if they're in some other art form.
Yeah. The condescension.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've always felt that maybe if you had a partner who was as passionate about something that isn't the straight and
That's the
narrow,
different thing, yeah.
that isn't the straight and narrow though. Like, I mean, I feel like that's where the arts, again, whether it's someone who's a singer or an artist or whatever, that if they have something that they have to do, even though it doesn't make any financial sense
Yeah.
or time sense, maybe that's a better match because you both have the thing that you give a shit
I'll
about.
tell you
that
what
much.
it is. If for me the big attraction should be between a comedian and someone else. It should be someone else who's also seriously, properly passionate about their job. It's not
Right.
what job.
Right.
It's because this is not a thing people do unless they fucking love it.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah.
we really are passionate about
Yeah,
it.
call
And-
up your
and
friends, say, can you come on Friday afternoon and talk shit for an hour,
Yeah,
please?
yeah,
yeah, we'll do it.
Who is this?
Free? Sure.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was
So-
implied. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I think you've answered some of the questions I've had
That
about
no one's had.
relationships.
Really, I think we did.
No one, I mean, like I said, this show is for me to try and
Yeah,
get
yeah.
better, I think. Liam, Ryan, plugs for festivals or anything that you've got coming up.
At the Comedy Festival, I have a show called Well, That's Disappointing. And
Did your wife come up with the show?
It's basically just her diary from the first 3 years of me doing comedy. Just a review she wrote.
Don't play with your mic.
I know.
I know.
Yeah, so a show called Well, That's Disappointing, in case the mic got clouded there. And I've also got a sketch show with a group called Watson. which
Very,
is-
very popular
they're
group.
great.
What's
Yeah.
an award-winning sketch group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Tegan Higginbotham and Adam McKenzie, and that's
Yep.
called Go to Hell.
Yep.
And it'll be a lot of fun.
And so at Melbourne, any other festivals?
Both at Malthouse Theatre and, Watson's at Malthouse. I'm at Hairy Canary. Hairy Little Sister.
Hairy Little
That's the
Sister.
one, I know the venue.
Go to one of the Harrys.
Yeah. just walk into the town. And I'm doing Well, That's Disappointing at Sydney as well.
Great.
Yeah. Sydney Comedy Festival.
Sami Shah.
I'm in Brisbane for the Brisbane Comedy Festival in March for 4 days. Then doing the Melbourne Comedy Festival, Malthouse Theatre as well. My show's called Punching Down. And then finally Sydney Comedy Festival in, I don't know when is that, April?
May.
May?
April, May.
Yeah, May, that's
Yeah.
right.
Just
yeah.
whatever your social media, you'll probably plug a lot
Yeah,
of it.
so facebook.com/Sami Shah.
Danny Mcginlay, Banner Man.
Just doing the Melbourne Comedy Festival about the Bulldogs banners. It's called Bulldogs Banner Man Live. I'm just cashing in on
Are you the banner
Bulldogs.
man?
I know, never gets
What
mentioned.
are the Bulldogs?
I was trying
they're the
my
premise.
All right.
I felt like every time you were doing any interviews, people would bring that up, and I tried my best not to. But in
That's
a
okay.
way, I feel bad now. I'm like, I should have actually given you more context to.
Yeah.
You do write the banners for the Western Bulldogs.
For the Premiers.
And
Does she
since
get
you
it?
started doing it, they won the premiership.
They
so
did,
yes.
you are to be thanked for
Yeah.
your contribution.
Does
to
she
the
get it? Does your partner get it? Like your Bulldog passion thing?
No, she's not into
She's
footy
Ukrainian.
at all.
Yeah.
But she was with me on grand final day
Okay.
and gave birth 2 days later.
Yes.
So yeah, it was intense. But yeah, now she's into it. Like she said she cried during the preliminary final, but that she said she fully admit that was probably hormones.
Okay.
Hey, I cried when Robert Murphy got given the medal from the coach. So, and I barracked for Hawthorn.
You'd have to be a rock. I go to the Eagles and I cried.
Yeah, I had a different bodily reaction.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Channel 31 on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as the Channel 31 app. You can find my Chess Festival show details, The Art of the Deal. I'm in Canberra,
Best
March.
title and best poster
Yeah,
of all
of
of
the whole
festival.
Oh,
festival.
somebody
Yeah.
getting annoyed you for
For sure.
interrupting me. I'm like, no. Very good interruption.
It's not bad.
Thank you very much, Danny. Details about my show will be around wherever, somewhere in this episode. So thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. I'll hopefully see you in the dating scene with my future wife.
Thanks for having us, Sammy.